Welcome to the Global Campaign for Microbicides Brown Bag on HIV prevention. This is a series of discussions asking the question, what makes a woman vulnerable to HIV? And as you'll see from today's discussion, it's not only a woman's own behavior that puts her at risk of HIV, but it can be those of her intimate partner. We have with us today Dr. Lakshmi Goparaju. She's a professor at Georgetown University and a researcher with WISE, which is the Women's Interagency HIV Study. And her research that she's going to share with us today is entitled The Other Half of the Downlow Story, Women's Perspective on Men Who Have Sex with Men and with Women.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for this opportunity, and I'm glad to be here and to be able to present this study. Can we go back? I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll ask you. Okay. The title of my presentation is The Other Half of the DL Story. DL is a short for downlow, and I don't know if all of you know what downlow is. I'll tell you what is the definition. Downlow is referred to the men who have females as their primary partners, but are also having sex with men secretly. And that's in the African American community. At some point, this slang term came into usage to refer to those men, saying men on the down low, and then it became shortened as DL. And I call it the other half of the DL story because it's not about those men. This study is about the women who are involved with those men, or potentially involved with those men. So it's the story of the women who are in these relationships. Thank you. And academically, in the HIV language, we are calling them men who have sex with men and women, MSMW. And this, I mean, you all know those who are working in HIV. In the United States, the rates among women, HIV new infection rates among women are growing, and they're mostly heterosexual. The mode of transmission is mostly heterosexual. And the HIV infection rates among black women are much higher. In 2008, they are 19 times higher than the white women, but in 2007, they were 20 times higher. So it came down one time. That's good. But then when we look at the women who are living with AIDS, 2/3 of them are black women. Next, please. And 80% of all these new infections among women are through heterosexual contact, whereas amongst men, only 16% are through heterosexual contact. Most of the male transmissions are due to MSM contact. It's like 2/3 of them. And I conducted my research in the District of Columbia, and so briefly I want to tell you about the HIV epidemic in the district. It's a severe and generalized HIV epidemic, where you all know, like when it crosses 3%, then it becomes a severe generalized epidemic. And black women's HIV rate here also, it's 14 times higher than that of white women's. And the mode of transmission is still the largest number are among the MSM. But this intrigued me, these heterosexuals living with HIV/AIDS, most of them are female. Okay, it's only 58% versus 42%, but it is still 16% higher. And of them, most of them are, almost 90% are black, and of them, 60% are women. So which means among the black people who are living with AIDS in the district, 2/3 of them, but for every 2 black heterosexual men, there are 3 black heterosexual women who are living with AIDS in the district. So in the last decade, a few researchers raised this question, whether some men who are in the MSM pool are also having sex with women who are in the heterosexual pool, thus transmitting HIV from the MSM pool to the heterosexual pool. And that came to be called as bridge role. So we still really don't know, because we don't have any population-based surveys to even to know how many men are MSM. So we really don't know how many are MSM or how many are MSMW. We don't know how many women are involved with these men. And we, okay, we go to the next. But we do know something about the MSM behaviors. When there were studies done with the MSM, some studies also asked them questions about a few things which relate to women. One is whether they disclose their bisexual orientation or gay orientation, if you want to call it that way. And usually, not all of them do, and those who don't disclose, their numbers are much higher among the minorities compared to the white people. And they were also asked, in some studies, they were also asked whether their behaviors, particularly the safer sexual practices, whether those are different with their male partners versus female partners, and they are different with their female partners. In addition to that, we also know, these studies also establish the same thing which we otherwise know. Those who disclose their sexual orientation or their HIV status tend to adapt safer sexual practices. And in this case, it's like they're not disclosing their orientation, and then they're also not adapting safer sexual practices. So I conducted this study. My idea was like, okay, the women are involved in these relationships. If at all we know anything, we only know about these men, but we don't know anything about these women. What do they know about it? And what do they do to cope with that? And whether knowing this knowledge, because in the last several years we've been, there is some talk about it, particularly in the media. And I heard somebody saying about J.L. King, and when he went on Oprah, it was picked up by media a lot more, and there has been talk about that. So whether that talk has led to any changes in women's negotiating behaviors, these are the things that I wanted to look at in this study. This study was conducted with the women. This study was conducted with the women who are enrolled in the Women's Interagency HIV study. This is a study, it's a domestic national study. It's going on for 17 years. We are in the 17th year of the research. There were 2 enrollments in the study in '95 and then again in 2001. We follow the same women. Nationally, about 4,000 were enrolled. 3,000 plus were enrolled. At this time, nationally we are following 2,088 women, and in the district, which is headed by the Georgetown University, we follow about some 300 plus women. These women were enrolled, as I said, in '95 and 2001, and the study main aim is to study the natural history of HIV in